Correspondent Gautam Roy joins us live from Vienna. Gautam, we've just taken a look at the highlights of what is to be expected in Prime Minister's visit. Take us through Prime Minister's itinerary through the day. What are the big events, whether it's delegation level talks and community events?
Well, Shubhendu, good morning to you from here in Vienna. And we're right at the spot. The Federal Chancellery is in the background where the Prime Minister's day will officially begin here. I can show you that there's a whole bunch of camera persons waiting to capture the moment when the leaders arrive here, because the Federal Chancellor will greet him here formally as well. You can see the India and the Austrian flags and, of course, the EU flag as well there. And this is where he will also get a ceremonial guard of honor before they head in for the business part of the day, which is the talks amongst themselves, restricted and as well as delegation level talks that will be taking place. Inside there itself in the Federal Chancellery, there will be the press statements of the leader as well. When after that, if I could show you again, if we move over here, just around the corner is the Hofburg Palace. I'll just ask my camera person Rakesh Kumar to pan over there. We can just get a glimpse of the Hofburg Palace as well, where the Prime Minister will be calling on the President of Austria as well, Alexander Van der Bellen. And that's where they will also have the India-Austria CEOs meeting, which we've talked about a lot extensively as well, where a lot is expected to be presented to the two leaders by the Indian and the Austrian CEOs and business leaders. And we will hear from them perhaps also about how the business ties between India and Austria will progress from here on. As they have been saying, trade for now is at $3 billion per annum. There's investment as well, about $1.8 to $2 billion that both the countries have made into each other. But that is now expected to take a further jump. What is expected is a quantum jump, really, if that is possible. And we're waiting to hear what has been planned for that as well.
All right. Gautam, good morning to you. This is Sakal here. For the fact that we know that diplomatic relations between India and Austria were established way back in 1949 November, and there was such a lull in between. But this particular visit has sort of energized the leadership at the top. But how does Austria really look at this particular visit, the kind of welcome that has been accorded to Prime Minister Modi and the statements that have come so far?
Well, Sakal, I wouldn't say that there's been a lull at the high level. Of course, at the executive level, the engagement hasn't been in terms of, at the bilateral level in each other's countries. But there have been, of course, the foreign minister who greeted the Prime Minister at the airport yesterday, as was himself the Chancellor when they had met in Glasgow, where we had the COP summit as well, COP26. So engagement has been happening, but not in this manner. At the level of a bilateral visit, a lot of ministers have also come and gone from both the countries to Vienna and Delhi, and business has been moving forward. Of course, since Austria is part of the European Union, and we don't have a trade pact as yet with the EU, that's where perhaps the things need to be moved along at a faster pace. Progress needs to be made, and Austria is a key member there as well, a Central European country, and a vital part. Has a lot of links with Germany as well. The most number of people of any diaspora here in Austria are Germans. So perhaps if we get things moving along on the India-EU trade pact as well, that would really ensure that things move at a much faster and progressive pace than what we already have. Of course, Austria can be of great assistance where India's quest for sustainable development, its goals for sustainable development are concerned, along with rapid industrialization. Even for startups, there's recently a startup bridge between the two countries that was started. There's a migration and mobility agreement that's also been put in place. And we're expecting there will be more movement along as these two leaders meet.
Right. Gautam, these two areas of convergence, the most recent ones, migration and mobility, and the startup bridge that you mentioned, these are also areas hugely important and crucial for India. What are the expectations as far as progress in this area and this visit is concerned?
Well, we can expect that things will be moved along further, because right now, of course, what we've seen is through the startup bridge, a bunch of startups from India, 20 plus all, have come here. They've taken part in an event where perhaps the largest contingent was Indian. Austrians are looking to basically get market access for their startups in India. India's huge market. Austria is very, very aware of that. and conscious of that as well. They're looking to diversify things as well. Like everybody, every developed nation is, and they're eyeing India. And at the same time, our startups, since they can compete at the global level, are also looking for an access not just to Austria, but to the entire European Union and the European continent. So this is an aspect that could perhaps be explored further, apart from the fact that they also need to get funding going at a bilateral level as well for each other's startups, where the VC ecosystem, which is, of course, a sub-sector of the startup ecosystem, will also come in. There could be funds that could be put in place, a fund of funds that India has already, the Indian government has already put in place for its own startups. There could be something at that level from both India and Austria as well. These are all things that are in the exploratory phase right now, and perhaps there could be movement on those as well.
So in the sense, we're looking at more convergence, hence more traction as far as sharing of startups in both countries, its startup ecosystem is concerned. Gautam, also, your reports also touched upon the Indian footprints and the India's soft power outreach, particularly in Vienna. And there is certainly a sense of palpable excitement ahead of the diaspora event. So if you could just share some insights, what is expected today evening?
Oh yes, Sakal, that is a huge part of this visit of Prime Minister Modi, because the Indian diaspora is 31,000 strong, and they've been waiting for a long time for this sort of an engagement at the level to take place, and Prime Minister Modi being so popular, being in power, just having come into power for the third time, the Indian diaspora was really looking forward to congratulate him and interact with him, and that's what will be happening today after all these official engagements at the Federal Chancellery and the Hofburg Palace is over. The Prime Minister, a little later after lunch, will be heading off to a place called Sofian Saleh, where a larger event with 400-500 people of the Indian diaspora has been planned. We did see that yesterday more than the invited number of people had come to greet the Prime Minister, even at the hotel, after he had reached there from the airport. I don't know if that sort of a scenario will be replicated at Sofian Saleh as well, but you never know.
Yes, but the gesture, we are running those shots also of this Austrian choir group, on Vande Mataram, performing Vande Mataram. I think that was the moment. One of the moments, but very engaging and touching.
And it was a surprise for Prime Minister Modi. He wasn't informed in advance about it. And this was the Vienna University Philharmonic that was not only singing Vande Mataram, but a whole different sort of a composition was there as well, because the person who's been director for more than 20 years at the Vienna University Philharmonic is a person of Indian origin, Vijay Upadhyay. He's originally from Lucknow, and he was the one who was the conductor there, and came up with a slight variation of the tune of Vande Mataram as well, where you saw, of course, a lot of harmony in the singing, and there were seconds as well. So it was very interesting, fascinating. And then Prime Minister Modi even he listened to it with rapt attention, and then of course he even clapped at the end, and then took pictures and exchanged certain had a bit of an exchange with the conductor and the students as well.
Well, in many ways, this was expected, Gautam. After all, Austria is like the cultural and music center of Europe, home to Beethoven and Mozart. But for those of us who'd like to learn about the importance of Austria in the 21st century Europe, once upon a time, Austro-Hungarian Empire was a dominant force. What place does Austria occupy today? And that sort of also would explain India's engagement with the nation.
Well, like I said, Shubhendu, it's a very evolved society in the sense that it's a small country, much smaller. The population is less than that of Delhi, but they pull more than their weight in Central Europe. They have a close proximity with their EU partners as well, and their industry is fairly evolved. Where sustainable development is concerned, recycling, they have technologies for waste to wealth as well. They have technology. Even startups are working on producing biofuel using bacteria. So all these technologies can be a tremendous use to India as well if something collaborative could be worked out. As I'm speaking, I can see that the ceremonial greeting will now be taking place very shortly, and you can see these people in the red berets, soldiers with the instruments marching in for the ceremony. Welcome. These are but they will be performing ceremony very shortly. Different to what is being played out like this is the city of music artist Doordarshan. We talked about sound, countless composers have made the Vienna home through the centuries, and perhaps we've seen a vibrant and melodious display of that here at
All right, Gautam.